Hi everybody, welcome to Combat Japan. I'm your host Andres Vergara, and it's a news roundup episode. So we're going to talk about some sumo, we're going to talk QUINTET grappling, we're going to look at some of K-1's recent announcements for their upcoming K-1 World Max tournament, and we're also going to look ahead at some of the upcoming events in the month of August 2026. But before we get into all that, I do want to acknowledge that we did it. We did it. I am officially at 50 subscribers. I know I am famous. I am probably the biggest thing in media right now. No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, thank you. Thanks to all of you. I truly appreciate anybody that takes time out of their day to watch what I make, and I hope you're getting something out of it. I just want to share my passion for the Japanese combat sports world, and I'm trying my best to kind of produce videos consistently and cover what's going on, also preview events and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so thank you. I know, 50 is not a lot, but if you do watch some of my videos and you do want to support me, I would encourage you to please subscribe. I'm at a point where I'm such a small channel that even just one of you subscribing makes a big difference. So please consider that. But yeah, I was stoked to see that, 50 subscribers. And also my latest video reacting to the Nagoya Basho has been my most viewed video to date. So I'm really, really happy about that. So with that in mind, before we get into the news and notes of what's going on, I did want to shout out, I'm going to share my screen here. I want to shout out friend of the program, Samuel, who is a JMMA consultant. Check out his Substack. It is samaroon.substack.com. If you want a real deep dive into what's happening in RIZIN in particular, please check it out. It's free. Obviously, you can support Sam by donating, but it is top-notch work. You can look at some of the articles here. He had one kind of covering previewing Landmark 15. One I really enjoyed was this latest one, the Super RIZIN report. Sam does a great job of previewing every single match, giving you the context. On top of that, he'll give you like actual fight analysis. So he'll like have recommendations for each fighter on what they need to do to win. I just think it's just top-notch work, and I wanted to shout it out. So friend of the program, samaroon.substack.com. Besides Sam's Substack, I did want to plug the We Are RIZIN podcast hosted by Andrew Benjamin. I was a guest last week for the second time in a row. If you want to be up to date with RIZIN specifically, please check out the podcast. It is the longest running podcast covering RIZIN. And he's a subject matter expert on this regard as well. So please check out the We Are RIZIN podcast on YouTube and or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, so with all that being said, let's shift gears here to sumo. All right, so as I mentioned in my Nagoya Basho reaction video, there were quite a few injuries that happened in this last tournament. And here we are getting an update. 9 wrestlers that are going to be sitting out for this upcoming summer tour. And that includes our Yokozuna Hoshoryu, who pulled out of the tournament in day 13, I believe. And he is having some knee problems. I believe he has an MCL tear that he's dealing with. Aside from Yokozuna Hoshoryu, Waka Takakage continues to recover from his compartment syndrome on his thigh. I think the return schedule for him might be not even until the end of the year. So it was a pretty serious thing that he had to undergo. I believe he had surgery, but we hope he recovers quickly. Wakanosho, who was one of our tournament leaders in Nagoya, is also out of the summer tour. He is dealing with some knee problems as well. I think he had to pull out because he had an issue with his femur originally, but he is having to deal with either an ACL or an MCL issue as well. Takayasu is out of the tournament, so I think he won 11-4, looking really great in this past tournament, but he has pulled out. I think a lot of people just think that he's resting. He's had like chronic lower back issues. I've been there. Yeah, I think he might just take this to kind of focus on his health and be ready for the Aki Basho, which is the fall tournament in September. Looks like Oshoma and Tobizaru are both having to pull out due to having shoulder pain. Shishi, who was also one of the tournament leaders for a while in Nagoya, had to pull out due to having shoulder pain. And it's worth noting that he did have surgery on that shoulder recently, and you can actually still see a scar. And I think it started acting up near the end of the Basho, which is when his performance started to kind of dwindle a little bit. So he will be out of the summer tour. And Asakoryu is also out. I think he's having some lower back pain, and that sucks. I can confirm it's the worst thing ever. Constantly dealing with that. So worth mentioning though, Aonishiki will be participating in the summer tour. And I think a lot of us, including myself, really wanted him to maybe sit this one out. So as was reported, he was dealing with ankle pain and left toe issues throughout the tournament. And I believe in the last couple of days, he was seen limping like in and out. And I know he's, you got to be tough and you got to overcome adversity, all that stuff. But if you have the opportunity to get healthy in between tournaments, why not do so, right? At least that's how I feel about it. But he will be partaking in the summer tour. So back to Aonishiki, for those of you that didn't watch my last video, he wins his third tournament. It is the first time somebody has ever won a tournament after being demoted from Ozeki. So once you're demoted from Ozeki, you have the chance to be re-promoted if you are able to get 10 or more wins as a Sekiwake. He not only did that, he actually won the whole thing. So the Aonishiki train keeps pushing forward. I think a lot of us want to see him make a Yokozuna run, which kind of brings me to my next topic in sumo, which is Kirishima. So Kirishima went and lost in the playoff, the three-man playoff with Atami Fuji, Aonishiki, and Kirishima. He lost, and this is his second playoff loss in a row. So if you remember the tournament before that, he went 12-3 again, I think, and he lost in a playoff against Wakata Kakage. How does the Yokozuna picture look like for Kirishima at this point? Given that he went 12-3, I believe the Yokozuna Deliberation Council is still considering his bid to Yokozuna as active, meaning that you have to win 2 tournaments in a row and or a tournament equivalent. And I believe they're counting the 12 wins as a tournament equivalent. But the only way they'll even consider Yokozuna promotion is if he actually wins, right? He can't just get another 12-win Basho or even a 13-win and then just lose it in a third playoff in a row. But the Yokozuna promotion is still on the table for Kirishima, so if he's able to perform really well, and depending who's in or out due to injury, we might get a third Yokozuna in Kirishima. So that'll be something to watch out for. And then lastly, Atami Fuji going 12-3 in this last tournament. If he's able to perform with 12 or more wins in the next tournament, then that would satisfy the 33-win requirement to be promoted from Sekiwake to Ozeki. So that is a storyline to watch out for as well. So yeah, lots going on in sumo. Hopefully these guys can get healthy and we can have another exciting tournament and have some sweet sumo action for 15 days in September. All right, moving on. All right, so Quintet 6 just took place on July 25th in the former Butokuden, which is like a martial arts hall in Kyoto, Japan. This was a really fun event, man. Let's talk about the venue itself. So normally this type of event would take place in some sort of arena or indoor venue. But they went to a traditional martial arts hall, like what you would expect for traditional judo, that kind of stuff. And dude, it was a really cool venue. I want to show you actually how cool it is. I'm going to show it here. Look at that. So it honestly really reminds me of like the old Dragon Ball martial arts tournament, not Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball. So Goku would go in and like compete every year in the martial arts tournament. And that was kind of an outdoor thing, but they did have a kind of a ornate entrance like this. And it was on an elevated platform. So basically the way it worked is like you defeated your opponent or you had to push him out of the ring. And it was a square, like elevated platform. So this just gave me some old school Dragon Ball vibes, hence the shirt. But yeah, dude, it was really cool. Also worth mentioning, there's no way in hell that this venue had AC, and it's summer in Japan. So it's super muggy, humid, and just super hot. So, and I think Kyoto has a reputation for just being really hot. And I do wonder how that affected the athletes. I mean, it's no gi, so you already don't have a lot of grip as you would with gi. So I think it probably made it really hard to kind of get a hold of someone, because once you're sweaty, you're able to kind of slip out of things a lot easier. So anyway, I just wanted to show how cool the venue looked, but let's go back here. So just quick rundown, Quintet is a 5 versus 5 grappling event. They have 4 teams, so they have a semifinal and a final. And the way it works is if you win, you stay on and face the next opponent. If nobody wins via submission, then it's a draw and both participants are basically lose, like they're knocked off. And whoever has people left wins, essentially. So like if you have one guy beat all 5 guys, obviously the one team with the one guy wins. But like if you have a situation where maybe only 3 guys go and then 5 guys go on the other side, then the team with the 3 that participated wins because they have 2 people in reserve. Quintet has some cool rules. So they have what's called the Shido, and it's a penalty for stalling. And it's really cool because I've competed in grappling competitions that are submission only, and I think a lot of those rules kind of encourage stalling. And what I mean by that is, for example, when something's submission only, sometimes what happens is that within the allotted time of the match, if nobody gets a submission, it goes into overtime, and then both athletes are put in a position where they have the opportunity to submit the other. So you can pick like someone's back or pick a triangle, something like that. And then what they do is that you both get a chance to do it, and whoever gets out of it first, or whoever submits the other one fastest, ends up winning the whole thing. And with this type of rule set, I think a lot of people will just kind of stall and conserve energy so that they can really go 100% in the overtime portion of it. And, you know, if you've ever grappled before, it's really not that hard to be super, super defensive and kind of shut everything down. And especially if you get somebody that's like really aggressive and they're trying to finish you, they're going to get gassed out. So by the time you get to overtime, you're just going to be like, okay, now I'm actually going to try, right? But Quintet does not play that. As soon as you're being too defensive or stalling, they stand both of you up and you get a Shido, which is the penalty. And then what happens is the person receiving the Shido gets put in a disadvantageous position chosen by the opponent. So they get to pick between mount, side control, side turtle, and knee to stomach. So if I'm being too defensive and I'm stalling, I'm going to get a penalty, and then my opponent gets to pick where they start, where we resume the match. So like if they're really good from mount, they're basically giving up mount. Like they're going to be on top of me and work from there. So that penalty actually dictated some of the matches. Like I think on one of them, there was a Shido and they chose side turtle, and they were able to leverage that to roll over them and get a rear naked choke like right after the match resumed. But it's cool because like the person who won the match was not a side turtle prior to the penalty. So basically it's like, hey, if you're going to stall, you're going to end up in a bad position. So don't stall. So that is just cool stuff right there. So let's just go over the results real quick. We'll scroll down here. All right. So the first semifinal was Team Inspire from Korea versus Team Ninja. So these are a little funky to read, but you'll see here. So if it's a straight line like that, it means it was a draw, meaning both athletes were eliminated. If it's a blue line, it means somebody finished the match, and if it's a yellow line, then it's a draw, right? So we have Igor Tanabe leading Team Ninja from Japan, who was able to get an armbar on Hee-sung Kim. This was a really cool armbar. So Igor Tanabe is like a really big guy, and this was a flying armbar. He like had a collar tie and then just like jumped and threw an armbar and was able to get it. So very dynamic from the heavyweight there. Then we had another draw, and then Robert Oda versus Chai draw. And then lastly, Yokoyama versus Yungam No draw. So what I was saying earlier, because everybody on Team Inspire had a match and you had Oshima here in reserve, Team Ninja takes this one. And as far as the Shido, it looks like we have 4 Shido that were awarded against Team Inspire and 3 against Team Ninja. So they were very easily handing these out. All right, so next we have Team Iwamoto Adventures versus Team Bogdanov United. Kenta Iwamoto from the B team, he famously grabbed his nutsack for leverage in CJI 1. He's a beast, and we'll see here just how good he is. But in Bogdanov, this was Grant Bogdanov's team, who was team captain, and I believe he's won a Quintet event in the past, so very, very experienced. We had a draw, and then we had Shoya Ishiguro versus Ibuki Arimatsu. So this is, it was a rear naked choke win for Ishiguro, and this was a direct result of the Shido. So Arimatsu was being too defensive. He got a penalty. So they go up to Ishiguro and say, where do you want to start? And Ishiguro said, I want side turtle. And then immediately from there, he rolls over his shoulder and takes the back of Arimatsu and just gets a quick finish. So there you go. You should not stall in Quintet. You will get got. 2 more draws. And then the big guy, Xavier Silva, and Tim Bogdanov was able to get a rear naked choke on Takeura. And then in the last match, we had Ninomiya defeat Xavier Silva via Darce choke, making Team Iwamoto Adventures the winner. More Shido on this one, so there was more stalling. So actually the winning team had 5 Shido compared to 4 Shido penalties for Team Bogdanov. But regardless, Team Iwamoto Adventure continues on. Oh, one other thing about the rule set. The standard match length is 8 minutes, but if there's like a really big weight discrepancy between the opponents, the smaller opponent gets to choose if they want a 4-minute match instead. So that's kind of another wrinkle to the way this works. All right, so moving on to the final, we have Team Ninja versus Team Iwamoto Adventure, so Japan versus Japan. And first match being a draw, Ishiguro, who had got that rear naked choke, draws against Oshima. Then we had Yokoyama versus Yonekura, another draw. Then we move on to match 3, which is team captain Kenta Iwamoto versus Eiki Suzuki. And we get Kenta's first submission of the event. He actually finishes this via guillotine, arm-in guillotine, but it was a weird setup. So like I think he had front turtle, and it looked like he was trying to set up a Darce. But then he gets underneath, Suzuki traps in the arm in guillotine, so Iwamoto's on bottom, and then in a scramble, I believe, Suzuki's trying to move around, and Kenta gets on top of him, and basically does like a arm in guillotine mounted, like from the top, and then gets the tap real quick. It was 1 minute 32 seconds into the match. So you have a pretty well rested Iwamoto, who just defeated Suzuki, going against Robert Oda. And there were a few Shido in this one against Oda. So he was being a little too defensive for the judges here, or the referee. And I think the submission actually ended up coming off of a side turtle Shido. But actually, I want to see if I can show it here. One moment. Okay, so there was a side turtle Shido favoring Iwamoto. And I think this is the final scramble of the match here. Let's see if we can... He passes guard and immediately transitions to the back, securing the one hook, both hooks, trapping the arm, mind you. And let's see, he's got the seatbelt grip, frees the arm, but I think Kenta just secures a rear naked choke grip that's just so strong. It might have been over the face too. Let's see here. Body triangle. Good control. Yep. And yeah, that is over the chin, dude. And just squeeze and boom. That's 2 submissions in a row for Kenta Iwamoto, which is super valuable in Quintet. It just means that one guy was able to take out 2 opponents, which is great because then it's not a 1 versus 1 anymore. So that was Kenta's second submission. And then that leaves Team Ninja with their big heavyweight Igor Tanabe, also team captain, going against fellow team captain Kenta Iwamoto. And this was I'm not sure if it was an 8-minute match or a 4-minute match, but essentially it went to a draw. So nobody was able to get a finish, therefore knocking off Kenta Iwamoto and Igor Tanabe. And that leaves 2 people here in reserve for Team Iwamoto. So we get a Team Iwamoto victory for the whole thing. So that's kind of how it played out. It's a really cool event. They only do about 1 a year, but definitely worth checking out. 4 Shido for Team Ninja versus 1 for Team Iwamoto. So Team Ninja was maybe tired. I don't know. The whole Shido thing is pretty interesting to me. So cool. All right, moving on. All right, so K-1 had some announcements for their upcoming World Max tournament. So this is a Grand Prix for 70 kilograms. It's been ongoing for a very long time. And they added, it looks like they added 4 championship bouts to the card. Let's look at them individually here. So we have the lightweight championship belt up for grabs here between Satomi versus Nagasawa. We also have the featherweight championship belt up for grabs between champion Ishida versus challenger Okubo. And then the super bantamweight championship is at stake between champion Kaneko versus Ryamu. And lastly, we have the super lightweight championship up for grabs between Taiyo Asahisa and one of the Kamara brothers, who are K1 staples at this point. So that's really cool. So for those of you that don't know, the K1 World Max Grand Prix is a 70 kilogram Grand Prix, and it's been going on since I want to say the mid 2000s. It's got really like legendary fighters like Masato, Buokao, just people that kind of defined K1 back in the day. That were just not as big as like the heavyweight guys. This is a continuation of that. And then part of that is an announcement from Kasper Mujinski, who will be competing in this Grand Prix as well. I think he posted it here. Let's see. All right, so we have here Kasper Mujinski announcing that he will be competing in the 70 kg World Max tournament. This will be his 3rd attempt at winning this. He's coming fresh off of his K1 Revenge victory back in May. So he's one of the foreign talents that's been doing really well in K1, so we shall see how he does as well. But yeah, K1, I know the popularity of kickboxing is at an all-time low, but I don't know, I just get really hyped for these Grand Prix. So I enjoy it, and we'll see if they can deliver. But it seems to be a pretty stacked card. You know, you got 4 championship fights, you got Mujinski coming in, plus the other 70 kg qualifiers. Yeah, you got some star power, you got belts on the line, and then most importantly, you have your superstar. There we go. There she is. Mona Kimura versus Marine Nickel. Yeah, Mona Kimura being the real life Chun-Li. You should check out some of her clips. She's gone a bit viral. Who knows? She might be the face of K1 at this point. But yeah, actually, she has like a boxing background. but she like mostly throws kicks. So she's very interesting style, but I don't think the level of opposition that she's faced has been anything to write home about. So we'll see what happens with K-1 back in September. So that it'll be, let's see, yep, September 12th in Tokyo. This will be K-1 World Max 2026. All right, so looking ahead. Actually, before we look ahead, I did watch the Pancrase 364 event here, the results. You know, it was a bit of a boring card, if I'm being honest. I think the main card had all decisions except for one fight. But one thing worth noting here is Kalibek, I'm going to try this, Kalibek Algikul Wool. He's down here. So he improves to, I believe, 14-2. I think he was 13-2 coming into this match, but he's from Kyrgyzstan. He has a lot of finishes. Let's see. Let's pull up his record. And yeah, it looks like only 3 of his wins are by decision. He walked out to the same song as Rajabali Shadulayev from RIZIN. I thought that maybe they were associated, kind of like we just saw Tilanov compete in RIZIN Landmark 15, and he did really well. So he's a teammate of Shadulayev. But it looks like this guy isn't, even though he is from Kyrgyzstan. But yeah, he got a decision win here. He's coming off a loss. But yeah, it looks like a interesting prospect in currently competing in Pancrase. I wonder if we'll see him in RIZIN. So just somebody to keep an eye out on. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you can watch Pancrase on the UFC Fight Pass, which is cool. But unfortunately, this past event was kind of, I don't know, just a little boring for me. But I'm sure they're not all like that. So, all right, moving on. So upcoming events for the month of August. I think the big one for me is going to be RIZIN 54. That'll be August 11th in the Toyota Arena in Tokyo. You got your main event, Kiyoma Akimoto versus Kleber Koike. I am just kind of going to look at this real quick. I'm going to do a full proper preview episode, but you got Pachi Mix, Shoko Sato, Arzbek Temirov, Georgi Goto, Yuki Ito versus Alibek Gadzamatov, Kazumasa Majima versus Koji Takeda, Kate Lotus Noel, part of the Super Atomweight tournament, Invisible tournament. Kaiwan Lee, Mizuno, Issa, Mizuno, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it'll be a cool card. RIZIN just posted a video of like, I think the open workouts, and there's one of Jolly just like doing this like really intricate dance, taking it very seriously. He's going to be facing Joe Hiramoto on August 11th. And I just realized that's like, yeah, only 10 days away. So exciting stuff. Put it on your calendar. We will be reacting and previewing this event on this channel. And then the other one coming up is Rise 201. So this is a numbered Rise event. We have the 90 kg belt on the line. So we have Kenta Nambara versus Gunter Kalunda at 90 kgs. I believe this is Nambara's first defense as the 90 kg champion. We also have Hasegawa versus Kazushima at super flyweight. Kazuma being the former flyweight champion, and Hasegawa trying to bounce back from a title opportunity when he tried to win the vacant title but ended up losing. So that'll be fun. I gotta be honest, I'm not super familiar with a lot of these guys, so I gotta do a better job of covering Rise. But yeah, I will be watching this and I'll for sure talk about it. I don't know if I'll do a full show on it, but I will cover it in one way or another. All right, so that'll be August 29th, 2026 in Tokyo. And I know there are other events other than Rise 201 and RIZIN 54, but I'm just kind of looking ahead of some of the bigger ones. You know, I'm not really, as of this point, I'm not really covering Crush or Shuto or anything like that. But these are kind of the two bigger events that you can look forward to this month, and I will probably talk about at some point. But that is it. Switch back here. That's it for news and notes in this roundup episode. Thanks again to all of you that subscribed. I know I made a joke about 50 subscribers and how big of a deal that is, but it is actually a big deal for me. So thank you, and please consider subscribing. It makes a big difference. So yeah, I appreciate all of you. That's it for me. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much.